Just to test ships and submarines. 0.11.5 closed testing. Based on testing results, we're applying changes to British results, Ivami, Aquila, and Hampshire. There will also be changes made to submarines. How unusual! They're changing the class that has been in development for 3 years and was cleared for release on all the servers and random battles and ranked and everything. Turns out they're still not done testing it. What a surprise. JBlue, thank you for 13. It's almost as if they're struggling to balance this new class addition to the game. Gee, where have I seen that before? Surely not in the carrier class. No. Shocking. Are you telling me that the stealthy convoy hunter doesn't fit the overall combat theme of World of Warships? No way. That's crazy talk. I couldn't possibly have foreseen any issues balancing this. British battleships Renown and Hawk. Tier 6 and 8. Engine boost. Okay. Wasn't Renown's basically like a repulse. Now it gets speed boost? Could be pretty spicy. Interesting. British battleship Hawk, tier 8. Main battery Sigma increased from 1.5 to 1.6. Main battery firing range. Not unexpected. 1.5 Sigma is a tragedy. Imagine putting a 1.5 Sigma on a tier 10 battleship. Holy shit, that battleship would be a joke. It would be a meme. No one could take it seriously. So, I mean, a tier 8 that has even less guns, having 1.5 Sigma is hilariously bad. So, I can understand why they would buff the Sigma. I mean, I can't even think of 1.5 Sigma on a tier 10 battleship. That just sounds awful to me. You know, let's see. Who could have such a terrible Sigma in World of Warships? That sounds ridiculous. I don't understand. Like, who would have 1.5 Sigma? Like, you couldn't be able to hit anything. That sounds like a terrible design. Luckily, no such things exist in high tier. British battleship Duncan, tier 9. Maximum torpedo damage increased from 21k to 29.4k torpedoes. That's a lot of damage. That's a lot of damage. Torpedo arming distance reduced from 1,500 to 540 meters. Torpedo launch sectors in the direction of the bow of the ship were slightly reduced as well. Huh. Launch sectors. 30k torp damage. Jesus. How many did it have? How many torps did it have? 2? 2 total, I think. I think it had 1 per side. Yeah. It could launch them like straight forward almost. That's pretty powerful though. Considering the alpha and the arming distance, you can kind of point blank use them. Interesting. Are those the curving torps? Were these the curving torps? I don't remember. There was one of them that had that weird torpedo thing. The Duncan didn't have forward, only St. Vincent. Okay, let's see St. Vincent. The amount of the HP restored by the specialized repair team's consumable from damage received to parts of the hull increased from 50 to 60. Interesting. Also same torpedo buff. St. Vincent had the forward firing. That's how it went. That still seems pretty powerful though. Super healing battleship with no torpedoes comes charging at you. What do you do? Suffer, I guess? Can you spec skills or mods to get more torp damage? Not on battleships, I think. On cruisers, yes, but these are BBs, so I don't think you can. This is of course the problem once again for World of Warships not having a battle cruiser tree. It's a classic issue. Like there should be a separate tree for battle cruisers, but they don't have one. There's the BB tree and there's the cruiser tree, and then we have battle cruisers that are a bit of both, but don't really, they kind of just sit there weirdly. British cruiser Hampshire. The width of the torpedo spread in a standard launch mode was reduced and brought to standard values for British cruisers. Okay. Did it have like super wide or something? I'm thinking of it. Collingwood. Collingwood was the Lidl Nelson, wasn't it? That was the Lidl Nelson. Added the hydroacoustic search consumable with the following settings. Number of charges 3. Torpedo detection 3. Ship detection 4. Action time 100. Reload time 120. Thank you, Antwerpus, for tier 3 52 months. Hydro, even a small hydro, is actually really valuable in World of Warships these days. Don't underestimate how good, like, hydro value has exploded with the addition of submarines. Like, short hydro was pretty useless in the past, but with submarines, and because they're basically unspottable half the time, even a 2 km hydro is suddenly quite useful. Added a main battery reload booster consumable. Number of charges 4. Reload time 120 second action time. Main battery 50% reduction. Wait, I'm in the way. 50% reduction. Wait, was Collingwood? Okay, now I need to double check. What is Collingwood? I might like remember this correctly. Collingwood. Let's see, where's Collingwood? 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 Where the shit is Collingwood? Wasn't it the Nelson thing? Let's see. How old of a patch node do we need to find? Can't find the Collingwood here. I'm pretty sure it was like a weird Nelson with like bigger guns. Damn, too many. Oh, here it is. Battleships, Collingwood. Here it is, Collingwood. Let me double check this. Collingwood. Where are you, Collingwood? There's the Collingwood. Yes, it was the weird Nelson. It had 6 guns. That was the weird thing. It had 6 419s. What was the stats on it? Collingwood. 25 second reload. 25 second reload, 2.0 Sigma, 6 guns. 25 second reload. Yeah, it had very little armor. Still, minus 50 on that. 12.5 second reload. Plus, I mean, if you have a bit of AR, you can potentially get like 3 volleys. You're gonna get 3 volleys off in 20 seconds. Jesus. Against other tier 7s with overmatching AP, that's gonna hurt a lot. That's easily 3 salvos. And it has 2.0 Sigma. So they're gonna be accurate salvos as well. That's kind of terrifying. Is it me or your accent changed a bit? Or are you doing this on purpose? My accent changed. What? I have an accent? I mean, of course I have an accent. Everyone has an accent, but it changed? Interesting. What? I mean, new mic, maybe? Sounds Russian now. Your face sounds Russian now. It changed from Finnish to Russian. A nice meme. Nice meme. Your accent is more noticeable when you speak fehlerfrei Deutsch. Entschuldigung. Interesting. I don't know where that came from, but my accent changed. That's a new one. I wonder how I could even possibly recognize it, like a change in accent. I don't think I could. Anyway, Ivami. Increase the accuracy of his secondary battery guns. They are now similar in the accuracy to the secondary guns of Georgia. Why did they specify Georgia? Doesn't Georgia have the same dispersion formula as the Massachusetts and Ohio? I guess because it's the same tier. I guess it's because it's the same tier. That makes sense. Just sounds clearer. It might just possibly slightly have something to do with the new mic. Yeah, I mean, it's possible. If the new mic, ultimately, the new mic being plugged into an XLR should improve audio quality, which might make my accent easier to distinguish. I don't know. I'm not an audio expert. Pretty far from it. Interesting. Still though, interesting. Maybe less snot in your nose. That too. Not being sick, but I haven't exactly been sick for like years. So. Number of torpedo bombers on deck reduced from 28 to 21 to 18. Engine cooling consumables 2 to 4. Patrol fighters 3 to 4. Interesting. ASMR Flamu. Right. I read about Sweden Gate recently. I don't know. Sweden Gate just seems pretty hilarious to me. Bunch of people being butthurt by something that doesn't even concern them. I don't get it. I mean, didn't happen in our house, and it, like when I was a kid, and it's not gonna happen to my kids either, so it's not really relevant to me. It's weird. I mean, the whole Sweden Gate thing is like, people are all about what happens in someone else's home is their business, don't bother with it. Unless if it's like a Nordic country. Then you have to get involved. Haha. Now we have to make a big deal out of it. It's nonsense, honestly. What on earth is Sweden Gate? Some kids weren't offered food when they were visiting other kids, and now it's become some whole country thing. I don't know. I found it weird. I like. I don't get it. That, yeah, that. It's people making a lot of drama out of a lot of nonsense. Making a mountain out of a molehill, basically. Twitter needs something to be mad about. Basically, yes. Seems like a non-issue. That's what I thought. Like, these people weren't very hospitable. Oh no. Anyway. Like, who gives a shit? Oh, this is a tragedy, by the way. This is a tragedy. Twitter is always mad about something, yeah. Yeah. Changes to submarines. This is the tragedy, by the way. This right here just shows Wargaming has absolutely no idea what they're doing with submarines. In the last DevBlog that discussed submarines, like literally the previous DevBlog about submarines, they changed the dispersion on the torps so that a submarine couldn't just surface and shotgun people like point blank, and that when a DD was trying to run down a submarine, the sub couldn't just shotgun him nose in, because that was dumb. So they gave some dispersion to the torps, which is fine because subs have homing torpedoes. It makes them less effective at close range, but still retains their effectiveness at long range. So it was a good nerf. And now they reverted the entire nerf. Now they reverted the entire nerf that they just had. That entire spread thing, they just removed it. So now submarines can shotgun ships again. So if you're trying to hunt down a DD in a sub or in a DD or let's say if you're a light cruiser that has ship-based ASW, you have to run over them. Now even trying to go nose in isn't enough because they can just point blank shotgun you with torpedoes and you have zero counterplay. And I guess that's what they want. It's like CVs all over again. Like to wargaming, adding counterplay against submarines is like adding AA to surface ships. It makes it possible to counter their new golden goose. And they hate that. The idea that you can counter a CV or that you can counter a sub is apparently anathema to the wargaming developers. So now we have this disaster. So now we have shotgunning again, plus of course homing torps again. Like, nothing's changed. We're back to where we started, back to the shit. It's incredible that they don't get that the frustration part of subs is that there is no counterplay. Dying against stuff you can't counterplay feels so awful. I think they get it, but they have some weird fucking algorithm, some mathematical formula, or someone's fucking thesis somewhere that shows that if the player base is frustrated enough, they're likely to spend money. I just don't fully agree with it. I find it very suspicious. And if anything, when I face subs that shotgun me, or I get hunted by a sub just sitting like 5 km away pinging me and torping and there's nothing I can do about it, or when I get struck by a carrier and he ignores my AA, I don't feel like spending money. I feel like playing a different game. So frustration isn't leading to spending for me, frustration is leading to a different game. At least leading to alternatives. And thank you, Scarheart, for the 44. So it's weird. They will sell the solution soon. Yeah, I think so as well. I mean, they've been doing that a lot lately. Create a problem, then sell a solution, but it's getting kind of ridiculous. And I feel at this point there's gonna be fatigue. You're gonna hit fatigue from the player base at some point, I reckon, where players are just tired of going through the same cycle of wargaming shitting on them and then selling them, hey, here's an umbrella. It's like, yeah, this is getting pretty annoying. I already hit that point long ago. That's what I'm saying. German submarine U-4501. Sonar ping range reduced from 14 to 6.3. Now it has the same value as the range of homing torpedoes. Why was this ship able to ping 14 km away? What? Anyway. I mean, they're still gambling on the whole new gimmick makes people spend money. Never mind the people who are suffering because of the gimmick. That's kind of been a constant theme in their developing for, I'd say, the last 2.5, 3 years. Basically ever since Smolensk. I think Smolensk was like a big tipping point. Because before Smolensk, they were very clear about high HE spamming plus smoke was a toxic combination. That's what they told us. In fact, when we were testing Minotaur used to have HE, and they removed HE from the Minotaur because they considered it a toxic component to the game. It was very frustrating to be on the receiving end of it. And then they brought in the Smolensk. Despite complaints, despite everyone being against it, despite everyone saying this is horrendous, they brought in the Smolensk, and I felt like ever since then, they kind of stopped caring about what players on the receiving end think about the ship. And they only started caring about the guy who plays the ship, what is his experience. And you can see that philosophy, especially in carriers. They care significantly more about the carrier having a good time striking defenseless ships than they care about the ships being struck by the carrier. The fact that they have no counterplay, they can't do anything, they're basically just target practice, that they don't really care. And now we're seeing the same thing with the subs. They're extremely focused on the submarine player's experience, but they don't really care too much about the poor bastard being shotgunned or continually pinged and hounded by the submarine. They don't seem to care too much about him anymore. And it's the more they add of this, like frustration on one side, suffering on the other, the more they keep piling on this, kind of the worse the game is becoming. And at some point I would assume they're gonna hit a wall where the game just loses its luster completely, and I feel like we're getting closer and closer to that point. I don't know. This was the devlog. I mean, the most saddest part was really the reverting of the submarine mechanic. They had a good idea, make shotgunning harder, give people more opportunities to actually run down a submarine, but now they removed it. So what you gonna do? I think the big issue is that they don't play the game. I think that's also a big issue. They might not even recognize how frustrating they're making some aspects of the game because they don't play the game anymore. Like, wargaming themselves don't have to experience what they have added, they just look at the statistics, the numbers. They've been doing that in VOD for 10 plus years and it hasn't happened yet. Actually, didn't they just recently nerf artillery in World of Tanks? Didn't they make some significant artillery nerfs quite recently? Like a year or so ago? They were actually forced to like dial back artillery. They basically reached the tipping point with arty where it just got too much. And they had to hard nerf it because they were clearly, their stats were showing declines and they had to do something serious about it. So in VOD they actually kind of already reached that peak of frustration, and they saw the effect it had on the player base, and they realized, oh shit, we have to do something. So at this point, honestly, I'm just waiting for when we hit that point in World Warships where the frustration by CVs, the frustration by submarines reaches that peak and the player base starts dwindling and profits start dropping and Wargaming realize, oh shit, something needs to be done. The artillery and what was nerfed so hard that they're irrelevant. Yeah, it was, yeah, I remember that. It was a big fucking change. So comparing it to VOT doesn't really make sense because VOT hit that wall I spoke of. World Tanks hit that wall hard, and Wargaming came down on the most hated class, which was artillery. They came down hard. So now we're just waiting for when is this similar wall gonna be reached in World Warships, and everyone knows what the cause of that wall is gonna be. It's gonna be CV and submarine frustration, easily. Like right now, vast majority of the player base is like a big reason why people play game modes like ranked is to avoid classes they don't want to take part in. Like people are, you have to understand that this is they've already reached the point where their design has failed. When people are playing ranked instead of randoms, not because the game mode adds something interesting, but because it removes unwanted elements. That's why people are playing ranked, to avoid subs and to avoid carriers, and also super carriers in particular. So they've reached a point where people are already playing alternative game modes, not because they're getting more out of the game, but because they're avoiding toxic parts of the game. That's me. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people who are doing that right now. People are playing ranked to not have to deal with the shit. And that's already a pretty big warning sign, a pretty big red flag that, hey, if people can no longer hide in rank to avoid this shit, where else are they gonna go? I can tell you where they're gonna go. They're not gonna be playing. So I wish that Wargaming would start kind of reacting to what's going on already, like kind of seeing the issue. GB Von Hoover, thank you for the sub. Scarheart, thank you for the 44. Truth, that's me 100%. Yeah, no, there's a lot of people who have just... They can't be arsed anymore. And really, just a big issue is that going to rank to avoid... Going to, like, usually, when wargaming... When a game has different game modes, you play a different game mode because you want to do something different. You want to see something cool in that game mode that you can't see in the other game mode. Like, you want to go, hey, like, there's some event, there's something special here. There's some gameplay element I can't get in the other game mode. I want to get it here. But in World of Warships, we have deteriorated to the point that you go to rank to avoid elements. And that's like, anyone who's in any sort of game design will tell you right away, that's a big fucking red flag.